contributing to that project, so we'll have to do that. Jim, Neil, Liz was, we have all the numbers, everything in on that? I believe so.
I haven't found out if there's any change order, and I don't know if the engineering is complete. I mean, we paid their bill, but I don't know if the engineering was 100%, was it, Jim?
On the billing, it said 95%.
For B&J or for the engineer?
Well, project.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, let's clarify that, make sure we got final numbers.
Maybe Mr. Mayor, at our November committee meeting, we could invite Gooseneck.
Sure.
Just
We will have them by then.
We'd have it in about 2 weeks.
Councilman Kraft.
Question, that moving of that approach, was that part of the path?
No, the moving, I presented that last month, didn't I? Or was that just a committee?
I think that was,
Okay. We got a price of moving that approach. We gotta look
The
at it.
east one.
Only the east one that lines up with our new street, the north-south street. The approach now is at an L that pick up the street that's going to be there. Steve Jacobson said that he would put a culvert, take that dirt and move it to line up with our street for $10,000.
Is that the approach that goes in by Bush Beavers?
No, this is the east approach to line
Oh,
up with
further
our
east.
street.
Okay.
We do have approval to have more approaches put in there, but I don't think it should be put in until that land is sold, whether we buy 2 lots or 1 lot, or we really don't know.
And correct, that additional access approach is not part of the gooseneck project.
No, it's not.
That'd be separate anyway.
We're never gonna get a frontage road there, and if those people would buy that, and Farm Credit would want a connecting one, it would go where the evergreens are, up on their land, not to line up with the existing frontage road. It would be on private property. But I think we're obligated to put in the approach to line up with the street, our street, rather than having that jogging there. I think everybody.
So that would be on the west side of Gooseneck,
Yes.
just on the west side.
On that street. You can't see the street
Yeah,
now.
no, but that's where the street to go, is just on the west side of
Yeah.
the cold storage.
I mean, I can't see semis coming in and going out if they start utilizing that street. And I don't know, Gooseneck would probably use it if it was there. Otherwise, they'll probably come in the other end and it's not going to be as convenient. But we should have it lined up.
We're planning on having our main entry on the east side of the lot.
Coming off Country Road.
Coming off Country Road.
Yeah,
That's gonna be our main, like, for heavy equipment.
right, but whether you want to utilize the other one for city, people that come by lawnmowers, might be easier.
Okay, so with that, that'd be an additional part of the project, the approach. We should act on that.
I don't do the finances, I just come up with it.
You do the work, we figure out how to pay for
Mr.
it.
Mayor,
Councilman Hopper.
for lack of any better information, the estimate seems reasonable to move an approach to create access to the property. I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Hopper to,
Up to 10,000.
Up to 10,000. It will not be paved, it will be gravel with a new culvert. 2 state specs.
So moved.
your motion is to approve the approach on the west end of the gooseneck property, bring it on Highway 2. Is there a second? Second by Menards. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then an understanding that will become part of the total project. That'd be the- Any other discussion?
Won't guarantee it'll get done this year. But, I mean,
Yeah, that's not part of our.
okay, but I do not.
Okay, moving on, Public Works, Barry.
Public Works, we met on the 21st, Wednesday. Getting back to the master lift station out there, they were scheduled, East North Dakota Sewer, they were scheduled to be here today. Due to, they've got a couple guys that are out sick. They called and asked if they could reschedule to next Monday. So that's been moved back 1 week to bring the pumps in. put the new pumps in the master lift station. We also discussed the water treatment plant improvements, chlorination, lime probes that are currently underway. I think there was some work that needed to be done yet. Is Aquapure done?
Pretty much, there's just some programming to do yet.
Okay, so a little programming to do there by our chlorination project, the new chlorination stuff we put in. We'll make sure that gets done before anything is paid for and stuff. Fall projects, Public Works Supervisor Larson report, fall projects include sweeping, flushing sewers, trimming trees. I think a lot of that's been done. The flushing sewers has been done. I think the trees are just about done. So a lot of the fall projects. We did also discuss, Rick has got enough time in, so he's talking about or thinking about retirement. We don't know when that'll be, but we're starting a discussion on that. So that was about all for our Public Works meeting. We move on to the all seasons one. You take that one? All seasons?
Well, we first,
Okay.
we can collect.
Okay.
Okay, any questions for Terry relative to Public Works? Anything the council's aware of
I
or
think-
needs to be done?
Did we have to do some maintenance on the sweeper, Rick? Did we have the sweeper over at Rugby Welding for some work?
No, we just had a bracket made over the.
Nothing major?
No.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I received a couple compliments that the sweeper's been out picking up the leaves that have gone out in the street, so we appreciate that. Okay, anything else for Public Works? Personnel. We met personnel and Dave, you touched on part of it that we got and we visited about the situation with changing the procedure in which the public safety police department is handled. I wish I knew the details as well as John, but it's basically changing from a flat 40-hour week to basically 160 hours a month, and gives him more flexibility to move people around. Is that the Reader's Digest version?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But we spent considerable time talking about pros and cons, and that was also to assist Dave's issue with trying to reduce as much overtime as we possibly can and yet provide the service that the community wants. We haven't come to a full program on that yet, have we, John? And you were going to visit with?
Yeah, I visited with Phyllis. The initial plan didn't work, but I think we have an alternate plan that I'll present to her when she's a little less busy with the first of the month stuff, and we'll see. Well, I should know more by the next committee meeting date.
Okay. And, you know, as we go along here, we're still going to be pulling the employees manual and updating that and making any changes there that need to be changed. Okay, any other questions relative to personnel? If not, probably do a joint on this one. Terry, probably should have come under Public Works, but today we met with the all seasons board representatives to conclude the true up. And I believe everybody is aware of what the true up means. We've had many hours of discussion on coming to an agreement on true up costs. And in that process of doing that, one of the things that I think we all learned was that we were probably not getting the total gallons of usage and where that water was all going when we started the project. So the end of the day, we came to an agreement on their share of the water for, this is for 2014. They ended up at about 30% of the total water that went through that plant was, we'll call it their water. The total amount of water that came into the plant was 149,138 gallons, 138,700. Now, we didn't have an accurate measurement of how much water was going into our distribution center. That is being corrected. I think the guys at the plant, readings are going to be handled a little differently now. So our goal out of this whole thing is the amount of water coming into the plant and the amount of water going into the two distribution centers should be within a tolerance of 5 to 10%. That does not include the water that the guys need to use in the plant, all those issues, and that ends up being a fair amount of water. So when all that got settled, we ended up with a 103,904,700 gallons for 2014 that the city is responsible for. Now we know that of that amount, that is not all metered. The swimming pool, the use in the fire halls, flushing hydrants. We use a lot of water to service the city, and we're going to make more effort to keep track of how much we use. We're suspecting that we may have some leaks that we can't locate. We don't know. So we're trying to identify our water, what it's on. Well, I'd like to be able to say that we could revenue 95% of the water that goes into our distribution center, but we're not revenuing that much water. But so we're going to make extra efforts, and there's a lot of changes at the plant. I think we can get, at least in and out of the plant, we will have pretty good numbers on all of that stuff. So it's in the distribution centers, and All Seasons has the same issue we do. They admit to today that they're losing water in their system that they're not getting paid for either. And that's just the nature of the supply of water to the patrons out there. So that, the gallons and the procedures were agreed upon. I think we have a basis going forward, Terry. You agree on how this will work?
I agree. It's been a long drawn out deal, but I think we can get it down pat to where it'll be a lot easier than in the past. So we try to get something down, so.
Our goal is Liz and their person right now is Dan Schaefer to communicate and exchange a few numbers and be done. We wouldn't have to meet 30 hours getting this thing together. So we've set up the procedure. I think it's workable. They are in full agreement. They were pleased with how it all came out. Liz and Dan are going to figure out the final numbers. They end up owing us money with the rate increases, the costs, and everything I calculated. And that's up to Liz and Dan to have the numbers to work it out. I can't tell you what that is. Terry, more to add to that?
No, just to update that, a few years back when we put in the new water meters was step one to get in control of the water that we're losing within our distribution or whatever. Now we're gonna move forward and we're gonna get a little bit more tougher on the water. I mean, we're gonna keep our water meters. We're gonna try to do maintenance on our water meters. I mean, we have meters that aren't reading. We're gonna get in there and take care of them on a faster basis. I mean, we need to make sure we're revenuing all that water that's going out through the meters. At the plant, we're gonna be reading our meters up there. We've worked with Rock. The guy from our, what we call the tech man for the water plant, that had been for years. We'll work with him to help us get a little better timely readings on the different meters. And we're gonna really, the water meters were the first thing, step one. We kind of let it drag a little bit. Now we're gonna work the pressure back on to, like I say, taking care of meters that aren't working, reading the meters at the plant, and really getting this thing down pat. So so we know where the water's going, that we're losing it. I can't say we're losing it. As Arlen said, there's a lot of water being used within the city. I mean, in our plant alone, the processed water, I don't think we have any major leaks downtown. I think it's just finding out where the water is being used, so. I mean, we're gonna step that up one more notch.
So can I ask, how many gallons do we bill for?
81 million.
1 million, we metered about 83 million.
So there's somewhere between 18 and 20 million gallons of water in our distribution center that we don't have numbers. And again, it's not that that water is not being used for city purposes, because we have no way of knowing.
We took that figure real quickly and sat down like with Rick and the guys, and we can account for a good share of that right off the bat. I mean, where it's not being metered and stuff like this. So I mean, I don't think it's an urgency that we're losing a lot of water anywhere in distribution. There is they tell you on the distribution side, if you're between 5 to 10% water loss in distribution, that's normal. So we can almost sit down, we sat down with those guys, we can almost pick up enough, know already where the water is going to get that down to under 10% of the water. So it's not a major deal, but we want to get it better. We want to get right down.
For an example, even like the firemen, you run your practices and have a major fire, you don't have time to be counting the gallons as you're using that water up, so.
We do estimate though.
Yeah.
That's,
So those things all add up, and, 1 million gallons sounds like a lot of water, but really, you can use up a lot of water when those hydrants are open.
and we'll need that estimate, like what you take out of the hydrants, we'll need that probably by, we're gonna set up some deadlines, probably like 22nd of the month, we'd like to know from the department about how much water you might use, or per fire, if you got a fire, we
That's
kind
what-
of keep that track.
That's what we keep track of now on our
Right.
reports is estimated gallons.
Right. Just that we get it more on a timely basis and can do it monthly and see where we're at.
And by no means are we trying to come from a position that we don't want our staff, if it's firemen or public works or public safety, whomever, not to be using water you need. Use all the water you need, but we're just trying to account for it. Try to account for it in a better fashion than we had, so. And it makes a difference too when you get down to Bismarck and you start talking to the water commissioners and all of that, the more numbers you keep track of, the better it appears to them that we're running an organized operation. So, Randy, you have a question?
How many gallons are not accounted for?
About roughly 18 million. We can account for a big share of those by estimating, but as far as metered, that's about where we're at. I don't know how much water in the course of the summer the swimming pool uses.
There's no meter at the swimming pool?
Is it metered now?
The swimming pool is metered.
Okay. But there's a number of places that aren't metered. I don't know how much water they use when they backflush this fall and they're flushing hydrants. Well, it adds up, Okay.
Rick, what was the figure you gave me the other day on the in-plant water meter in 3 days?
36,000.
36,000 gallons in 3 days in the plant, that comes back into the plant. We have a meter that comes in, actually goes out our high service, just like a resident or whatever business. The meter comes, the water comes back in, it's metered again, right? It comes from our distribution system. And in 3 days, we have that kind of water.
And part of this
So
is
there's quite a bit of water
long-range planning for our infrastructure. Everybody knows that part of our water distribution center is getting old. There's some old lines in there, and do some of those leak? We have no way of knowing. But there are gonna have to be some replacements, so somebody beyond this council probably will be replacing water lines in time, and that's why we wanna try to identify as close as we can the water that goes into our distribution center. I think we've got it nailed down in the plan to almost identify every bit of it. Let's jump on this. And then a lot of that, again, Randy, is gonna be some estimating, because we don't.
Barry, let me ask Rick, the water lines in town here, how many are plastic, cast, or asbestos pipe.
Well, about a third of them are probably plastic,
About a third of them are plastic, the rest are the old.
cast iron.
We have cast iron on the water too.
There's a
Yeah,
few
that's-
asbestos in there.
Yeah, asbestos cement, so that's about 60 to 70% of our water lines are old. I mean, back to asbestos cement or cast iron. And you're gonna have leaks, that's normal, you know, but I mean,
Another reason for
That's-
reserving.
yeah.
Same with the sewer lines, clay tile.
Yeah, sewer lines, you get 60, 70% old cast iron pipe. Okay,
Okay,
I
Dave,
guess I got a question. You know, a couple years or so ago, we installed new meters in our homes in residential areas. Are they all functioning properly?
that's what we're working on.
And I've heard comments that some of them aren't working and we're just kind of estimating the usage in our homes.
That's what I alluded to a while ago, that we're gonna get more, on a more timely basis to check that. We have had a lot of problems with the new meters.
Is that a warranty
We've
thing
had
up there? I mean, like.
A lot of them are
somebody-
being, yeah, a lot of them are being replaced under warranty. The MSUs, the remote readers are giving us problems. Yeah, yeah, those, the new meters they're what you gotta have, but they're not without a lot of headaches.
99% of the meters are working, it's just the MXU isn't registering to the computer when Candy reads them, so they have to manually be read,
Right.
Which we're estimating.
which is
right?
probably like 30
We're
meters.
probably not going into the homes.
There's probably 30 of them that we're working on.
Well, yeah, and I heard that, and I thought,
and that's what all these items, start adding them up, start talking millions of gallons here. We need to have a better hand on it.
That
well,
amounts
they
to
should stand
residents.
behind them, I think.
They're under warranty.
Okay, I get that.
Okay, any other comments or discussion relative to the, Randy?
Did we come up with a new rate for all seasons water then? Has the rate been agreed on?
The rates have been agreed on for 14. The rates have not been, we've discussed in general going forward, but we do not have the final figures on the plant repair. And we're estimating after REM payments, that we're gonna be in that $650,000 range, that we're gonna have to amortize that capital cost over a period of time. Not all the items on there are gonna depreciate at the same rate. Liz is working on a schedule of depreciation. Some are going to be probably 10 years, other items are gonna be 20, 25. So the depreciation on that improvement at the plants will then be split between all seasons in the city based on the percentage of usage that is done. And Liz is working on getting those numbers complete. We won't have the final number at the plant until all the bills are paid. And she's working on that depreciation schedule. They, being all seasons, are in full agreement that that depreciation schedule will be split that way, and that'll go into their new rate going forward, which will be analyzed every year also. So I've had the same question, are they gonna pay their share? And they're in full agreement with that, there's no controversy in that at all. Dale?
They never did pay depreciation on the original, right?
It was in there,
It wasn't.
It was in
Okay,
there, yeah.
one time.
but that whole NOS project, I would have to go back and become a student of that thing, because, at the beginning of that, bore you with that, but they had, on the construction, on the bonds for the plant at the time of the improvement, they had 80 cents a gallon just for bond payment. So when Minot came in and paid 5-point-something million to pay off that plant, that took quite a burden off the city of Rugby and the water users. So all of those factors have entered into where we are today. And I feel comfortable, and I think Liz and Terry, we've worked together on this, that we're at a place now going forward. And our best, in all honesty, our best hope is that their patron load grows and so does ours. We'll spread that risk over a larger base. And we're doing everything we can to control the water, the expenses, and keep it at that level. We're in a good place with all of that. Actually, their rate, their expense rate, it went up about 11 cents over a year ago per 1,000 gallons. Good questions. Terry?
I think working with them here and getting to, we had a lot of meetings with them and stuff, but I think by opening up the communication and communicating with them as much as we had here and going over this stuff, have been leaps and bounds forward as far as figuring out this true-up. As I said this morning at the meeting, sitting at those true-up meetings for 9 years, once a year, man, they'd go for 2-3 hours and do nothing but arguing back and forth, and then negotiations. Well, I think we're coming to a point where the negotiating is gonna be taken care of by a plan. I mean, you know, going forward, so there isn't this meeting of getting together and blaming this one, that one, and negotiating, so I'm sure glad to see that come about, because.
I think Terry has some battle scars over that over the number of years he was involved.
I think so, and I think Rick does, he'd come to those meetings and wherever else. It was kind of back and forth, and I think we finally got something ironed out.
Well, and that, it comes down to we have to have more exact numbers going forward, I think that's what it comes. Okay, any other questions or comments relative to our working with all seasons? Okay. If not, is there any old business? Hearing none, we'll go on to any new business.
Question, just a question, how did that mock deal go the other night, Chief?
Well, I think it went okay. We haven't debriefed on it yet, so we don't know for sure. I think we learned a few things, so it was productive there. Seemed to go well. We had some, of course, again, we had some issues, but I think we learned from it, and that's the main thing.
Basically, you had a good meal for us. Took a bus ride to the Memorial Hall.
It was too far away, huh?
Your block off. Okay. Correspondence, special meetings, reminders, I think they're all in the back sheet. City office will be closed November 11th for Veterans Day. City office will be closed November 26th for Thanksgiving. And the most important of those three is we have a request from the clerical staff and Liz's office to be, and the water plant, to be closed on the 27th, the day after Christmas. And, Christmas, I'm the season ahead, Thanksgiving. And you see in the footnote there, employees will use a personal day of leave for that. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Hopper to approve the request to be closed the 27th, the day after Thanksgiving. Is there a second? Second by Bruce. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What did we give them?
I'm sorry?
What did we give them? We
We're
don't
just-
give them anything, did we?
Oh, we're just letting.
We're just closing the office, yeah.
The office is closed.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, we're giving them a day off without pay, or with pay.
They take annual leave. Mr. Mayor, committee meeting for finance, November 25th. Gentlemen, I'm going to be out of town the 18th. And would that work for the building meeting? That's the day, that's Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Why don't we do this on the committee meeting? If we have scheduling issues, just work through Liz, and if you need to postpone them or change them, just do it through Liz, and she'll notify committee members if it needs to be changed.
Okay.
And then reschedule it.
Yeah.
It's important to have these committee meetings, so we can, does that work for you, Jim?
Yes, if we could send
Okay.
an email out November 25th.
Anything else for the good of the order? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Wentz, is there a second?
Second.
All against?
Aye.
Just checking.
Is it all again?
All against the adjournment? All in favor of the adjournment?
Aye.
That pink elephant again. Meeting adjourned.
Record. Yep.
Thank you.
really well until you get to
That'll work.
Yeah, I was saying, I think we're catching up on all the good stuff.
I know.